Welcome to the first event of the year, the 2022 NXL Sunshine State Major. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Rich Telford here, and this event is brought to you by Bunker Kings. So a little pre-show here, going to be talking about these brackets and a couple of these first sets and what we're going to see tomorrow morning, bright early, 7:20 here Eastern time.
No, I won't be here.
I know, I got that news, and I was
so I'll be here at 9,
early.
guys. I'll be here at 9.
Okay, we'll try to hold down. I'm going to be a little groggy in the morning and get my coffee, but. Look, it's been a crazy offseason. We were just talking a little bit off camera.
What happened? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, a lot, apparently, if you weren't tuned in.
I was not tuned in.
Every year we joke about, hey, it's not going to get any crazier than last season, and sure enough, it was absolute madness in the offseason. We had a brand new pro team coming in, taking over the outlaw spot, the Latin Saints. That's one of the big stories out here. Basically decimated the starting lineup as they took a bunch of players from Edmonton Impact. Also got Corey Hall from the Ironman. Let's start out by talking about that first bracket here, Rich. That first bracket is most likely going to be the bracket of death. San Antonio X Factor, San Diego Dynasty, Energy Elite, Revo, Latin Saints, and it is so deadly because the Latin Saints loaded up with all that top-tier talent.
That's three top-tier teams in one bracket.
And the Latin Saints were sitting in the lowest of the divisions because they took over from the outlaw spot. So, just everyone's been talking about this bracket. It's going to get a little interesting in there potentially, and we're going to be seeing those games going down in the afternoon.
And then we talked about in the past, the team that comes out of that bracket is going to have a little bit of advantage going forward because of how high level play they had to do to get forward.
Let's talk about Latin Saints right out the gate. So the Latin Saints, we just talked about that new roster. They do have a bunch of teams from players from Latin America on that squad as well too. Did talking with those guys a little bit. I don't necessarily know if we're going to see, unless they go up real big as far as the point margin is concerned, they're probably just going to run with that stellar starting lineup. And I think that's the smart play. Also, you also have to keep in mind it is Brandon Short's first tenure here as a big-time coach taking over a pro team. Now Brandon Short is a legend. Ton of experience. World champs of Dynasty is in Orlando last year, one of the key components of that, and for years played with Ironman. He's
pretty good at paintball.
He's really good at that. So, but it is sometimes a learning curve when you managing egos.
So we were just talking off camera where. Every team out here is at a different level. With the Latin Saints, you have so many good players, then you also have to manage those egos. And Brandon Short's less X and O's and more about managing egos to begin with.
Yeah, and it's an unknown. When you see these superstar teams, we were part of one back in the day with Excessive. A little bit different story there because they do have 4 of those players from Impact. And Corey Hall is a SoCal guy, so he does a lot of drills with them. So he's very familiar with those guys down there. But it's a ridiculous roster. They got Justin Rabikoff, also a last-minute addition. But it is one of the bigger stories out here because we just don't know how well they're going to do right away. Obviously,
and it's an amazing story for paintball, Matt. Yeah. Tell the story because, listen, this is good for paintball, right? The more people know what's going on and the opportunities that are here, the more people are going to get into the sport.
Diego's done a good job of building that team so far.
And how did he get those players?
By throwing some cash at them.
Oh, you're saying he paid them a lot of money. So there's a lot of money being paid to high-end professional paintball players.
Yeah, let's just touch on this field because obviously the way that this field is laid out obviously is going to indicate how these games are going to go down and what teams could or could not excel. Rich, you're coaching again this year with New York Extreme. You've been at a lot of practices, played against a lot of top teams. Talk to me about this field layout, what you think is going to be beneficial, and also things maybe teams should stay away from.
So it's a fun field. It's similar to this layout last year that we had in the first beginning of the season where the snake play isn't the dominant smash down the snake play. It's a little bit of a slower snake play where sometimes the guy hides in the corner, sneaks in, nobody knows, smokes everybody. But if they know he's there, it kind of slows down. Big moves through the drill side. If there's only one guy looking that way and that guy gets put in or gets shot, you can literally fly down to the other 40 on the drill side. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, you can go through the middle too. So it's kind of a dynamic field. It could be a lot of fun.
I've heard a lot of good things about the field. I've heard that pretty much that breakdown. That seems to be the consensus among the the brains here in the sport about how this field is going to play.
At least start with, right?
At least to start with, yeah. Well, I mean, once we get into it, it definitely can change.
That's a great
And then
shot.
things that, looking at it almost with the snake structure similar on both sides of the field. And one of the things I was talking to some of the snake players out there that may be getting some spins on the D side because that structure is over there.
Yep.
But D-side players typically are playing the game knowing who's in front of them and where they are.
Start on their feet, heads up.
And snake players are used to not knowing where players are. So I think that some D-side...
Different dynamic,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little bit of a different dynamic, and I just love the layouts that Jason Trojan, our commissioner, has been putting out the past couple seasons because this one, from what we've been hearing out of these practices, could be very entertaining to watch. Lots of bodies dropping and things devolving into the scramble, 3-on-3s, 2s-on-3s. And
there's a lot of... if you try to get outside on either shot, there's good gaps, right? And obviously teams are gonna try to get outside, so you're gonna see a lot of 3-on-5 points, and then whoever can quickly make those adjustments are gonna have a big advantage.
Just last question on the field layout, before we jump into breaking down these other brackets here. D side, strong side, snake side, strong side, even field. What do you think?
I think it's not enough dominant way either way to be a dominant side, right? I think it's 60-40, 50-50, so it's so close, especially with the middle, because it's middle that way or middle this way. So I think it's a pretty even field. I think the Dorito side's faster and the snake side's a little slower.
I have heard that there are a lot of options for creative players when things start to go down on the sides to steal points from that center of the field and get big, 3-pack run-throughs up there.
And unfortunately, there are some nasty bounce shots that actually are applicable to, everyone always talks about bounce shots, and I don't really care because usually they don't apply to the game. Mm-hmm. These are very applicable to the game. Like you're bouncing it into a key bunker, can't play this side of the bunker, like the can on the snake side. They can bounce it off the small temple into that, where you'll see a lot of guys go there for 10 or 15 seconds, immediately get hit and look inside.
I did lie to you. I got one more question. Potential bunker of death.
Well, that one catches you get caught in the face for sure.
Potential trash can.
Yeah, I think the snake corner is probably the most important bunker on the field. Okay. I think that's the anchor. He can't stop the snake, but if you're live there, you can't wrap around your side of the snake, and you can kind of contain this side. I don't know. I don't think there's a can that you can't live in, but the two cans in the middle, the longer you live in there, the worse. Neither one have great shots, and the snake is better than Dorito. Dorito's just horrible inside. Decent heads up, but not very good. Like, you don't want to be in there for very long.
So let's just finish talking about this bracket. So we got Dynasty, X Factor, Revo, Energy Elite, and the Saints. Revo with some changes in their lineup as well, too, as they lost both
we practiced them.
And
they look good. Yeah, we practiced them. They look good.
I do like that lineup. I think that, taking Velez from Impact.
And Velez looked good.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about Velez over there.
He looked real good.
They got a new pickup. Chris Shear was a huge standout for them on the D side. They do have some depth. They got Noel Tran as their coach now.
Yep.
Love Noel, good paintball mind. Energy Elite, no real big changes. They did lose Lackey, though, so that was, I feel, a decent change, as he'd been one of their core guys.
And he's going to play really, really good for Tampa Bay.
Damage.
I just watched him play last week, and it's a much better fit.
But still, that's a nasty division. Who's going to make it out? Don't really know. Obviously, the favorites there are Dynasty and X Factor. X Factor losing Archie Montemayor to Dynasty.
Over the Saints, you're saying?
No, I'm just saying, based on how
that's what you said.
Well, on paper, I think you do have to still give Dynasty and X Factor the edge.
They're the more consistent team, right?
They're the two they've been in the finals 2 events in a row.
I mean,
we'd be a little foolish to kind of sit here and be like, oh, X Factor, the Saints definitely now have the advantage. I think that, yes.
That's a tough division to try to get your new team to develop out of.
Absolutely. And again, that will be starting tomorrow afternoon. The first game in that division will be Energy Elite taking on the Latin Saints starting at 1, so it's afternoon bracket.
The last game is Dynasty and Latin Saints, and I'm
5 o'clock.
super excited for that.
That's going to be the big test here for the Latin Saints. So moving on, talking about the next bracket here is Infamous, Damage, Ironman, Level, and DMG. What do you think? I mean, I think with that one, that Infamous and Damage definitely should be the 1 and 2 teams out of that one.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like an easier bracket to call. Ironman are on a brand new rebuild, bringing up a lot of divisional players. Don't think Nick Sloviak's going to be here for them. They have Al Fernandez as their longest-term veteran. Level looked great last year at the third event. Didn't
see
make
if they
Sunday.
can replicate this season.
Yeah.
Big question mark, though, right?
What do you think about Level right now? Because that's another big question mark for the league.
If they can continue to do what they did last season, which is just go out and play to their ability on the field that they have, not try to do superstar stuff, but just really focus on team paintball, they can hang with the middle of the pack teams, right? And they can kind of get to the middle of the pack team. And when you get there, you can start, polishing that. And that, I think they're on their first track forward since the inception of the team.
It's a fun story, though. They did definitely
great group of guys.
Very great, good group of guys, Midwesterners, and love what Dave Pano's been doing at Level Up Sports out there. And Robbie.
And that
Smith
sport complex is amazing.
Yeah, it keeps building it up, gets better and better. But they're going to be starting midday, 11:20 against DMG, and then Damage for the last game.
If you're playing and you're watching this, please drink water and Pedialyte tonight, because people are just melting out here, man. It doesn't seem like it's that hot, but it's that hot, man. With the humidity, it's rough.
Yeah, it's very humid out here because it's been raining, and it's going to continue to rain a little bit. And then it's going to get cold, I think, on Sunday.
It's amazing.
It's going to be interesting.
I can't wait.
DMG, what do you think about DMG?
I think they struggled last season, and I haven't seen them in the offseason, so hopefully they've turned their program around, but I think they have more questions to answer than anything else.
Always good for DMG is they're out of Dave Baines' field. They do get some looks against Impact, and they have brought up some divisional players and definitely going to be out here to try to be proving themselves yet again. Then Ironman again on that rebuild. I think this could be a really good field, though, for Infamous and Damage. I don't think it would shock anyone. Obviously, Infamous had a much more consistent year than Tampa Bay Damage. Damage went third, and then 11th made another Sunday.
Both of those teams are upper echelons teams, right? I mean, both of those teams are always a small adjustment away from getting to Sunday or getting whatever level they miss. They're just right there. Where a lot of the other teams are really don't have much of a chance.
Yeah, Damage again in that bracket. They're going to be playing tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock against Level, and then against the Ironmen at 4 o'clock. Ironmen going to start off against Infamous. That's a tough first game for
sure.
a team, legendary team, longest running pro team in the game. Los Angeles Ironmen won first event of 2020 before COVID hit. This is a completely different squad.
Yep.
Only player that's still there, including coach. And I like the mentality that Nikki is bringing. Nikki McGiver's their coach. This is her team now. I talked to her earlier, and she's excited about having. She was taken over from Todd before, and a team that he had assembled. Now this is a team that she's assembling.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be an interesting road for them.
Well, and it's interesting for us too, right? Because we've never had a woman head coach, right? Like if this is her team, this is her perspective. It might take a little while to get going, but it might be better than everybody else's. And if it is, I'm stealing it.
Yeah. So, and also we do have the NXL. You can check out the other webcasts that will be concurrent going on in the other field with the semi-pro division. Then we'll see the best of those squads out here on Sunday. Let's head on to this other bracket here. Just last real quick on Infamous and Damage. This is a type of field that I do feel that both Infamous and Damage have a chance to win. I think that with how coordinated you have to be on your attacks, having been together for as long as Damage has, and the burst speed that core has, and the way they play in the scramble, I think could be really good for them. What do you think?
I think most of the teams points out here are going to be won by teamwork, and I think both of those guys have that right. Like every single position is just dialed in. They don't make a lot of mistakes out there.
And then Infamous lost Greg Sewers, and that's a big hit. There's no
for
other way to look at that other than that's a big hit. But next man up, we'll see who's going to try to step up and fill that void, because
they got
Greg
plenty
was
good bodies.
So spectacular last season. Absolutely, they have a very stellar roster. You're not going to. They were the most consistent top team last year. The lowest finish was 8th at the second event.
Yep.
Let's move on. Got 2 more to go here. Impact, Russian Legion, AC Diesel, Uprising, and Hurricanes. What do you think?
I'm really excited to see what the new Impact looks like. Really excited to see a full Russian squad.
Yeah, Red Legion finally getting their core starting lineup. It's been about 2 years since we've seen that core lineup.
It's been about
together.
10 years.
It's been that specific group. So you got Karslev on the D side. You got Sergey.
I heard he was just flying down the field.
And yeah, I mean that team is going to be a factor here. And then they still Smotrov was here all last year with Malloy,
Sergey,
and then Sergey. So that's a really ridiculous starting 5. They got Kozyrev here as well too. I mean that they have some people they can put in there.
They've got all the tools they need.
Yeah, did lose Mikey Waring. I thought Mikey played great for them last year, but Karslev is insane, and now Mikey Waring's going to be on Damage.
Yeah, and it's a good fit for Damage.
Absolutely. Impact, I've been hearing really good things about Impact in practice with that new roster, new lineup that they have, bringing some different guys in, picking up Matt Drula, picking up Mike Zupa from Revo, picking up Zach Hill. But the guys, Zach Yakimek is back. He's going to be, he's a former MVP award winner. He's an amazing a second tacker.
Really good too, yeah.
Yeah, and Nick Laval, the Cornells. I mean, that team.
This could be a really good feel for Nick.
Yeah, it really could up the center.
I hope they just let him feast. Like, Nick, listen, just go have fun. Just kill as many people as you can. No harsh judgment. Just have some fun.
And you kind of need to say that to your attackers in the center.
For sure. And if you're not telling your attackers that, then you're not telling the right thing, man.
Yeah. So with how he gets crafty in the chess match in inner point, I think that Nick Laval could feast out here. Still, Impact is absolutely a favorite to win this event. The Russians definitely a favorite getting their lineup back. Diesel, Uprising, and the Hurricanes. Let's start with Hurricanes. That's the team that everyone knows the least about because they're the brand new semi-pro team coming up.
And they lost a couple of the key guys.
I did talk to their coach, and he's very excited that they're here. He understands the big task that's in front of them of trying to compete in the toughest paintball, professional league on planet Earth.
In the solar system, really.
Yeah, as far as we know. But he says that they're mentally dialed for this big quest. So it's going to be exciting to see what they actually have at this level. They did earn the right to be here, though. Didn't buy their way in. And then with Uprising, they still have that same core roster they've had for a long time. They picked up a couple new guys, too, that they're high on.
With me, they're always right on the edge, and they're always a question mark, right? So, like, everything you say about them is just conjecture because you never know which team is going to show up and what level they're going to play at.
A threat sometimes, and they've made some Sundays.
They can beat the best teams, and they can lose to the worst teams as well.
Yeah. But they should have Brandon Olson will not be here, but they still have a pretty strong roster. I saw them at practice today, and they looked
decent.
They looked happy. They looked dialed. They were focused. I was hearing good things, so we'll see. AC Diesel, a couple key guys are going to be missing. Ben Challenger, he got hurt. Clint Johnson is not here. He's got some regular life stuff to deal with. the way Ben played the snake for them a little bit last year, he was a huge threat. And then Clint Johnson he's an elite threat out there too. So that is a little bit of a hit. Mark Johnson, owner and player on the team, he feels pretty confident though, and he is happy with the roster that they do have. But still, that's a team because they declined at the end of the year. They started off. They were one of our dark horses. We talked about how good potentially they could be.
For sure.
But they had some struggles towards the end of the season.
And looked really good at the beginning of the season, and as the season continued to go on, they just struggled.
Yeah.
They weren't making those transitions that they needed to make.
But still, BJ Hanningberg, the Iceman Mark Viginski, that team, they have some punch to them.
And Mark Johnson played well. Clint Johnson played well. They had some good plays, just not consistent enough to go forward.
Last bracket here: Houston Heat, Aftermath, Thunder, New York Extreme, and the ML Kings. This is your guys' bracket. So, what are your thoughts on the fights you have to go through here?
Obviously, Houston Heat, they're pretty good at paintball. That's going to be a challenge. And honestly, the problem with New York is they have a tendency to play up or play down, right? So ML Kings, they don't take real seriously and almost never beat them because of that. I think it's going to be a good division.
Yeah, you guys are starting off with ML Kings first.
Yep.
And this morning bracket tomorrow. You guys' first game 8:20. I'm interested to see with New York Extreme, since it's your squad, because it's a team that also has proven to be able to beat some bigger squads out here, and they've had some really close game against top squads that they had made a couple mistakes that cost them that game. So I'm just looking for, as we are with all these younger up-and-coming squads, more consistency, less mistakes.
And for the first time, I feel like as they're a team, they're actually a team, and they're actually moving forward as a team. Not all 9 guys are all buying in on the program yet. About 7 guys are. So there's enough forward momentum inertia where people are like, "Hey, man, this is actually starting to work out. Maybe we should all buy in and do this." And so things for the first time for me are moving forward. So it's really positive.
ML Kings got a chance to talk to some of those guys today. Kept their core. They kept their whole roster.
I love the pickups from that first exhibition match. The 2 kids that came out. I still love both those kids. They're playing really, really well. Had them a couple practices. I saw them asking the other guys, "Hey, how do I do this?" Asking the right questions, trying to do what they need to do to get better. So very impressive. I think the upside of that team is good.
I agree. Betancourt and the Snake was a big standout for them last year. Kyle Berry played excellent. Again, they kept the same roster that we saw make Sunday at World Cup here last year. This same field that we're at right this second. And they're Florida guys, so they're going to be maybe even sleeping in their own beds tonight. I don't know, but this is going to be a hometown event for them.
Yeah.
I like the team that Charlie's put together. They have punch on that team. Connor Kelly had played well for them at Cup. Carter Donaldson, apparently he's been tearing up, and Navarro, the squad, they're pretty stacked, man. For being down in the 5th tier, that's kind of a tough one to draw in that 5th tier.
Yeah, they're definitely a tough 5th tier team.
Yeah, Thunder merging with the Brooklyn Bears, the Thunder Bears.
Big question mark, right?
Big question mark.
Could be 4-0, could be 0-4.
Yeah, they kept the core of their Thunder squad, and that's a good core. And then they combine it with some hungry guys from the Bears that have been wanting to get this opportunity for a while. The Altamores, they definitely have. They have some talent there.
For sure.
But similar situation, right, Rich, when you have some of these other teams that are, like the Hurricanes. They've been together for a while. They fought through semi-pro. They got here, and then the Bears come in, merge with Thunder. So a lot of that, okay, well, are we going starting 5, running different lines? How are we all going to kind of work this together and work this out?
If everything goes well, it's easy, right? It's after you lose 3 or 4 points in a row and things aren't going so well that you kind of see the test of the team. Like, are we pulling together? Is it us and them, or what's the real backbone of this team?
And then, with Aftermath,
those guys are working really hard.
So hard.
They look really good. I mean, if they do well, they really deserve it. And if they don't do well, they know, hey, we put everything we could into this, and we can walk away with our heads high.
Yeah, still dealing with a nagging injury to.
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm good.
I'm good. It's good to hear.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You probably saw me limping a little bit. That was actually my pimp limp, but no big deal.
I thought that's just because you're old as dirt.
That's probably what it
was. So Aftermath with Frank Antetomaso as one of their main attackers, particularly on that D side, is dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury. He's going to be playing through that. He just got, I talked to him today, and he feels it might be because he had to go through ankle surgery. He had to deal with all that, so it was kind of a little bit. His body's a little out of balance.
He's one of those burst speed guys, though, too, and those guys are usually wound really tight. Right? Their muscles and tendons are really, really tight, and that's why they can accelerate so quickly. Yeah. So it's not surprising that he's got an injury like that.
But it is going to potentially be an issue for the team because they're going to do better with Frank out there.
Yeah.
They do have some depth though, and then
Thomas Kim guy's
Thomas Kim is pretty good.
He's okay at paintball.
Thomas Kim is coming off a bout with I think was COVID, and so I think he's back to close to 80-90%. But they're going to need Thomas Kim and hopefully Frank Antetomaso to play well to go deep here at this tournament. What are a little more thoughts on Aftermath? What do you think?
No, I think they're doing really good. I mean, I think they have a really good work ethic. I think they're finally kind of coming together as a team. I watched their practice in LA. It looked good. Watched a lot of stuff online, and the team looks good.
Yeah, they definitely
They look more polished than their ranking, obviously.
Yeah, heard Joe Barrett was playing well.
Yeah, actually went forward a couple times. It was amazing.
Yeah, got a guy going to be playing the snake side. Probably a lot of people haven't seen. They're calling him Cousin. It's a nickname.
Cousin.
But Cousin apparently is legit. He's on their starting lineup. Apparently he's this fearless snake attacker.
Yep.
And that's been one of their question marks. Now going back and creating 4 Sundays and having to rewatch all these games, one of the standouts I really thought for them in some big moments was Hallberg, Josh Hallberg.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that Hallberg.
He's a solid guy in that squad.
Yeah, he is. So
always alive. Making key fills.
So, Aftermath could be a threat out here. And then Houston Heat, of course, a favorite to win this event. Hearing good things coming out of their practices. Or Fedorov was doing Fedorov things and, just stacking up 3, 4, 5 packs on that D side. I mean, they've changed.
They've added to their coaching staff.
Yeah, they picked up McKenna as to help Todd out. And they did.
Those second guys are huge assets.
Very few player moves have been made from Houston Heat for the past 3-4 years.
Why would you change that?
Exactly. I've been hanging. I talked to Randy Smith, and he. This is when they were winning 2 World Cups in a row a couple years ago. He's like, "Would you change anything?" I got these guys calling me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so, man. I mean, if you're winning 2 World Cups in a row, something's working.
Listen, if your guys start slacking, right, then you bring in a Pitbull to take someone's spot, right? But if your guys aren't slacking, giddy up.
Yeah, and the team is just top to bottom, just stacked with nothing but studs. So they did lose Nico Hyde. He, quasi-retired. But still, that team is going to be a threat to win every event that they play. Last year was able to take home a victory at the second event. Got off to a little bit of a slower start, but definitely looking for Heat to be a factor. And they're going to be, playing against Thunder at 10:20, and then at 1 o'clock against ML Kings for their first day. But it's going to be a really fun event. So those are the 4 divisions, and kind of a tough one to call a little bit, Rich, though, with all the changes and a lot of people having to deal with, having to reprove themselves again out here in a brand new year.
Yeah, I think obviously Houston Heat and Dynasty, because they didn't really change their roster, and because they were both so amazing last year, have a kind of a big advantage.
The one thing we did not talk about, I totally agree, and they picked up Archie Montemayor for Dynasty.
So I've never heard of him. Well, new guy?
He's a little new, but he's really good.
Oh, well, really good is all that matters.
So they did have an injury to Blake Yarber.
Yep.
And so Blake will not be playing this event, and that is a hit to Dynasty's line. But they did pick up Archie Montemayor, so
it's pretty good. Yeah, Archie's a good step in.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering who's gonna be the center attacker.
Who's gonna step up and go to the middle?
Who's gonna be because the middle could be very proficient out here as a place to attack.
For sure.
So. Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of guys that could potentially play that role. But when you watch Dynasty play, who's going to be getting in there to take over Blake's spot? Because, Blake, MVP at World Cup, co-MVP with Marcelo Margot. But, that's just it's a nasty lineup. And they do have Dalton back, and he's healthy. So that's good for them as well, too. So stage is set. It's going to be an exciting one here. Things are going to be getting kicked off at 7:20 with
it's not
Red
really,
Legion.
Are you just keep saying that like it's true?
Bro, it's really the time.
I'm sorry. You guys should not get up that early to watch paintball.
Yeah,
I feel bad for you.
7:20. It's going to be Red Legion taking on AC Diesel, and then Uprising taking on the brand new squad.
At least they're good games.
Yeah, the Hurricanes. So we're going to see with the new boys here in the Pro Division, moving up from semi-pro, what they have against Uprising in the very first set. After that, it's going to be Aftermath and Thunder, and then New York Extreme and the ML Kings, and then we're going to see Impact take the field with their new lineup against Diesel and Red Legion versus Uprising. They're the first 3 sets. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the pre-show. Matty Marshall, Rich Telford. It's all going to be going down on GoSports.com. We're here in Orlando, Florida for a brand new paintball season. 2022 NXL season about to kick off. See you guys bright and early tomorrow.